And we're live. So here we go. Mary Grace here. Welcome to the Mary Grace Show. I'm Mary Grace, the voice of sanity, to help you navigate politics, culture, wellness, faith, and world events. And I have a special guest with me today. This is our good friend, Dr. Tracey Stroup, and she is here to talk to us about Make America Healthy Again. And I don't know about you, Dr. Tracey, but I'm pretty happy about where we're going now, compared to what was going on, a month ago in our country. We just didn't know. So, can you give our listeners? It's been a while since you've been on. So, can you give our listeners just a little background? Some of them are familiar with you, but some aren't. So, just give us a little bit of background.
Sure. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I've been practicing in the field of health and wellness for about 25 years or so. Currently, I have a telehealth company, I have an education company. I've done multiple classes on general health, overcoming injury from the jab, have stood at the ground level, grassroots level for health freedom when it came to school mandates with the face diapers and other things. So
Mhm.
I have to watch my words here, but so happy to be back with you. You have done so much great work pioneering and just informing people through the last couple of years. So greatly appreciate having time here with you.
Thank you, thank you. And it looks like I'm trying to see if we are live on some of these other.
We're live
Uh,
on Facebook.
yeah, we're live on Facebook, and I think we're live on Rumble. This is part of what's been happening. So, to my listeners, appreciate your patience. We had a rollout of some new software updates for the software that I use, and some of you know that because you watched my test stream the other day where I was ranting about it. Um, and so we're just kind of going with the punches here, and it does look like we're live on Rumble, so I'm very happy about that. And as you're listening, please just let us know what platform you're watching on, but also tag people, share it, get the word out, because we're going to talk about health today. We're going to talk about really, what the future holds for our country, and what you can do to take action on a personal level. And you guys know that I'm passionate about this, that I want America to be healthy. I want all of my listeners to be healthy. And so many of you are passionate about it as well. I learn from you guys all the time. And so I have a very engaged audience. I have, you guys are great researchers, and you are taking personal responsibility, which I love. And I'm very excited. I was going to wait till the end to say this, but I'm super excited to tell you guys that we are now partnering with Dr. Tracey Stroup, and we're going to be able to send our listeners over to her in addition to the functional medicine doctor we work with. We are adding another option. And so that's what makes America so great, is that we have choices. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that in a few minutes here, but a lot of you have been asking every time she comes on the show, how do I get in touch with her? How do I get an appointment with her? And, some of you just want to work with a woman, because we have a lot of women listening. And so we're making that possible. But Tracey, I wanted to just kind of start out at a high level with the concept of making America healthy again.
Mhm.
Can you tell us just what does that mean to you, making America healthy again?
Well, I think it has grown off the backs of a grassroots movement of parents and guardians of their children just wanting better for their future. And so it starts with the food we eat, with the things that we are exposed to in the environment, as well as things that we put into our bodies, and understanding through health choice and health freedom, informed consent on those things. And
Mhm.
so, through the last, I would say, 100 years, the progression of the allopathic hierarchy over the health of America and the pharmacological backing of that model has led to a repression of health freedom. Because you're not supposed to question your doctor, and you're just supposed
Mhm.
to take your little pill and go
Yeah,
away and feel
yeah.
better, and don't talk about your symptom anymore. And really, that model has offered no cure. It is a suppression therapy to make you think that you're better. You just don't have symptoms anymore while the underlying root cause is there. So I
Mhm.
really think when we say make America healthy again, for me personally, it comes down to education and overcoming the indoctrination of symptom repression, and that equals health. Second, understanding the value of real food. There's no such thing as junk food. It's either junk or food.
Right.
How
Yeah.
that biologically, physiologically is medicine. It's not something we do with medicine or instead of medicine. It is medicine. And then third, having choice in the way that we want to actively participate in health. Whether that is, I want to have a pharmaceutical, you do you, that's up to you,
Mhm. Mhm.
or I want alternative therapies. I want things that, I've researched, and for so long, those therapies have been poo pooed on. I mean, I was just thinking about it this morning. Do you guys remember Quack Watch? The guy wrote articles about alternative therapies. He had an entire website. It was like he was the gold standard of whether or not something should be considered as valid or not. It was literally called Quack Watch, and he would go and just annihilate these alternative practitioners that were just trying to bring good to the world. That's how far we've come.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so when I hear Make America Healthy Again, I want to go back to the Garden of Eden. I want to go back to things that grow, what God spoke into
Okay.
existence, all of those things.
Okay, I love it, and one of the things that speaking of, like, what God spoke into existence, I think that, especially in this country, we have gotten so indoctrinated to think that so many things are food that aren't. And, a good example is our dad was in the hospital, he had a stroke, and he was getting tube feeding, and I wrote to you, and I was like, "Oh my gosh," because I looked at the, bottle of what they were pouring in the bag to feed him, and I had told them that he has diabetes, that he needs that he eats low carb, that we eat real food. And I got the nodding, "Yeah, oh yeah, sure, okay, yeah, thanks for telling us that." And then I looked at the package that they were feeding him of the liquid diet in through the feeding tube, and I think the primary ingredient was dextrose, and then the second ingredient was some kind of, industrial oil, like maybe canola oil, and then the third ingredient was fructose. So it was sugar and seed oils. And then, of course, they add some kind of, like, synthetic vitamin panel to make you think that he's getting multivitamins with this food. And I threw a little bit of a fit, with the nutritionist, and we finally settled on something. Well, then, so obviously that's not food, but then when I was talking to her and I was asking her for alternatives, she said that there was only certain things that they were allowed. She said, "Well, this is allowed and this is allowed." And I said, "By whom? Like, who makes that decision? What do you mean this is all that's allowed? It's our dad. Why shouldn't we have a say in what you put into his body to heal him after having had a stroke?" And so, long story short, I may or may not have snuck other things into his nutritional.
I may or may not have helped you
You
do
may
that.
or may not have helped me figure out what to do. Yeah, but and then there was the robot that yelled at me,
Ugh.
but that's a whole 'nother story. So, but the point is, you know, when you're we have an 87-year-old in the hospital who had a stroke, who obviously needs healing. They're already depriving him of natural air and light, and then they're pumping these industrial waste products into his body and calling it food, calling it nutrition. So
Mhm.
that's how far, and then acting like I'm the problem,
You're the bad guy.
you know?
Yeah. How
Yeah,
dare you,
like,
Captain? How dare you?
what? Yeah,
What do
yeah,
you know?
literally send a robot in to yell at me. don't feed the patient. Um, so so here we are, right? But the problem is, okay, that is an obvious example if you
Mm.
know what to look for. But what we're seeing in America's food is that pretty much everything falls into that category of what I just described. It's just
Mhm.
packaged better, right?
It's packaged prettier, yeah, and, you're not laying in a hospital doing nothing and having time to read the label. There's not a screaming toddler in the cart while you're just trying to shop the store.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot that goes into it. A, they put such big words on the label that people don't know what they mean, nor do we have
Mhm.
time because we're so busy as a society to actually
Yeah.
cook food, so we're looking for alternatives that would at least get something. I mean, my
Mhm.
parents were notorious to say when my kids were little, "They need to eat something." And my response was, "No, they don't. They don't need to just eat anything to
Yeah.
fill the void. They need nutritious food because we are growing a human. And so they're gonna eat
Yeah.
what we want them to eat, which is healthy
Mhm.
food." And it was almost like I was
Yeah.
depriving my children because my son was sitting there eating an avocado with hummus instead
Mhm.
of a cheeseburger from a fast food joint. And so the
Yeah.
issue is, first, if it has a label, it's not food. The end.
Mhm.
That's it. If you pick up a product and it has a label, it's not food. It's a form of nutrition, either synthetic or put into an encapsulation, but it's not food. Food, by definition, should reproduce life some way on its own, right? So it should be able to germinate,
Mhm.
reproduce somehow so that it can reproduce life in you. It should contain probiotics of some sort, either from the soil internally. It should have enzymes so that your body can use that product to break it down. It should have some sort of vitamins and minerals naturally occurring in the right forms because that's what nature provides us. And so that is food. If you look at eggs,
Mhm.
there's no label. If you look at a piece of chicken, there's no label. It doesn't have, monosodium glutamate and da 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 and all these things inside a chicken. It just says
Mhm.
chicken
Mhm.
and it
And
has
what
no.
you're talking about when you say label, you mean like a list of ingredients,
That's right.
basically.
That's
Okay. Yeah.
And
Okay.
so I want to preface that with this. Listen, nobody's perfect. I'm not sitting over here like I'm Miss Whole Food USA. Listen, there are times we order pizza. But what I'm trying to get across is we have been so brainwashed to think that we can replace God given natural whole food that falls from a tree, grows from the ground, runs in the field, swims in the ocean, and flies in the sky with a box of cereal. And we can't. It has not the same nutritional value. And how they tricked us was with the word calorie. They were like, this product has so many calories, as this product has so many calories. The calories
Mm.
are equal, so therefore you can eat it because a calorie is a calorie. Well, apparently a calorie is not a calorie because we're all fat
Mhm.
and dying right now. And it doesn't matter what the calorie intake is at this point because we're so malnourished and metabolically broke.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
how they got us. They got us on the calorie counting.
Yeah, it's a mess.
Mhm.
And I wanted to ask you, so when it comes, like you just said, like none of us is perfect, right?
That's
And
right.
like one of the things that I think, if in case anybody doesn't know yet, um, President Trump has brought RFK Jr. in as the head of Health and Human Services. Now, that's like that the budget for Health and Human Services is the biggest in the whole government. It's big. It's like bigger than the rest of the government put together, which is crazy. But one of the posts that he made, which I thought was really good, was he said we have to acknowledge the fact that Americans love to eat out. They love their fast food. At one time it wasn't poisoning us,
That's right.
um, but now it is. And so, can we at least start with getting the ingredients back to where they're not poisoning us? So it's like he's realistic enough to know that we're not going to stop people from going to the drive-through.
Right. Right.
But can we stop cooking the McDonald's foods with industrial oils, right?
Right.
Can we at
We
least
used
put
to do French fries and tallow. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
tallow is from, beef. What if we had organic grass-fed beef and we had tallow from that fat and then we made our French
right.
fries? Now it's real food. That's a potato and tallow. That's real food, even if you're getting it from a fast food restaurant.
Exactly.
How did we
Yeah.
get here? Because it's cheaper, right? They didn't care about health. They cared about money.
Yeah.
And then when you're funded by the pharmaceutical companies in the system that benefits from your disease, guess what?
Hmm.
You can accelerate that process because it's
Right.
more. So it's a
Right.
really sick system that we have going on right now. So
Yeah.
I'm really
Yeah.
excited. I'm glad he has perspective on that because I think people were worried that he was going to implode the economy. And I was like, well, hold on. He's a smart guy. Let's give him a hot minute. So he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, and I think that he has some smart people who are
Mhm.
gonna be, coming in on this, and I do wanna talk about that as well. So, I don't know if you follow Chef Gruel on, Twitter and
I
YouTube,
don't,
but
but I
he
know who he is. Yeah.
yeah, he's very good, and he said, you know, he understands food supply and food production as a chef and as a restaurant owner, and he has, I think, some really good ideas. I mean, I hope he gets brought in to be an advisor here because I think
Mhm.
that his understanding of what can happen between the suppliers and the restaurants is very important. For
Mhm.
example, that you know if you make it desirable and you incentivize farmers for producing the tallow at an affordable rate, you know, it's like you can't just shut down the farmers, right? If you stop the soybean oil production, you have to give farmers an alternative. Like,
Mhm.
I don't think RFK wants to put farmers out of business.
No.
I think it's the opposite, but there has to be smart ways to keep farmers and grocery stores and restaurants in business
Mhm.
but to give them the ability to offer what's healthy, um, at an affordable price. Because what we see constantly, we hear people saying all the time, the good food costs 3, 4 times more than
Right.
the junk. And that's another reason that people are gonna pick up the junk and I saw this when I was teaching, you know, parents would send their kids with Little Debbie snacks because you could get a whole box for a dollar at the dollar s back when things were a dollar. And I you know, I get it because that was in their budget. It wasn't in their budget to buy, organic hummus or, you know, something like that. Plus, you know, you also have to be realistic and know the kid's gonna throw it away if it's not what they want.
Absolutely, right. And
So
if you're paying that much for organic and it's labeled organic, then what is everything else, right? So
yeah.
that's the question. And we used to say, walk the parameter of the store and you could shop that way and it's a better choice. It is still a better choice. It's
Yeah,
more whole
yeah,
foods there. But now what they're doing is injecting our animals and feeding them corn rather than grass and just
yeah.
all the things. It's not really about stopping soy production. It's about how do we maintain our society and farming with better
Mhm,
options, starting at the feed we're giving the animals, starting
mhm.
at how much hormones are we injecting into these cows in order to produce the amount of
Yeah,
milk we have? Why
yeah.
do we have to do that? So it's really about like thinking
Mhm.
through it. Some of these problems are huge. That's the thing. I don't think like, January 20th, there's a switch and everything just switches. It's not going to
Right,
be like that. But I
right.
think we have a decade that's coming up of
Mhm,
re-education of people. Listen, you can have Kellogg's, Fruit Loops out there. You don't have to buy them. That comes down to personal choice and education,
mhm.
right? You can have it on the shelf. Obviously, we don't want titanium oxide and things that people are buying, but at the end of the day, if you'd never bought Fruit Loops in your life, you wouldn't die of Fruit Loop deficiency. Okay,
Mhm,
that's a battle for me that I'm like, stop with that. Like that for me, I was like, come on. This is what we're fighting. We're fighting over Fruit Loops.
mhm.
Like, why don't we fight over like hormone injections of our animals because milk is in
Yeah.
everything? Like, let's go a little deeper. Like, you don't have to buy Fruit Loops. So my point is on this is that those little battles though brought things to the forefront where people were like,
Mhm.
hold on a second, right? We need to look at labels. So the first thing that I
Yeah.
would say for people is learn how to read labels.
Mhm,
In my foundations course, I teach people how to read a label and I go through 20 things that are inside food that's actually
mhm.
a neurotoxin, a carcinogen, things that are very common, like MSG. How many
Yeah.
people eat Chinese food? How many people buy soy sauce? They don't even think about monosodium glutamate as a neurotoxin. I mean,
Yeah. Okay.
so there's a lot of things that we can talk about, but I think this is going to be a long, slow play.
Mhm.
So for
Mhm.
me personally, I want to see like Trump for 4 years, and then maybe if it's RFK or Vance come in and
Mhm.
that team take this out for the next decade,
Yeah.
so we can have effective change. It's not for you and I, Mary. It's for our kids and our kids' kids. Like our time here,
Yes. Y
we're tainted, right? We grew up in the McDonald's era. But our kids and their
We drank
kids,
from the hose.
that's right,
Uh,
and we're still
yeah.
alive. So with that, I think the body does have really incredible regenerative ability, but
Yeah.
I also think that this is a
Yeah.
slow and steady play of
Mhm.
re-education first, getting rid of the indoctrination in our
Yep.
food system, but then also in
Mhm.
the health system. That's a whole different system, right? So how do we take people that are
Mhm.
extremely reliant on pharmaceuticals because they don't want to suffer and say, hey, how about a new way? How about we try these
Mhm.
other therapies? How do we get payment for that? How do we get funding for that? This is
Mhm.
a huge undertaking. I'm really excited for the team, but it's a big thing.
It's huge, it is, and one of the things I think that is so important that we're talking about is generational, and
Mhm,
I talk so much about how Trump thinks generationally. You know,
mhm.
he's a father of nations, and he's a father, he's a grandfather, probably will be a great-grandfather before we know it, and so, you know, his focus is on generations, and the same thing with RFK. I mean, he has said publicly that he has prayed for years and years to have this as his legacy. And so, you know, what I love is that both of these people are passionate about making lasting change. They're not doing neither one of them needs to be in politics, right?
Right.
They don't need the job. And yet to me it's an act of love and an act of sacrifice because they see the future and they see how dark the future will be without making these changes. I mean, our kids, what is it? 77% of American males are not fit for military service. I think it's
That's scary.
77. And that's a big problem. And yeah. So not to mention, you know, the rates of autism and I mean, we could do a whole show on that. But the bigger picture here is that this is a generational change. Um, that the education piece, I think, is critical. And I think having the entire marketing arm of the government at your disposal is going to be key
Mhm.
so that the public relations around this can be tailored in such a way that empowers people. You know, we've seen places where they put an extra tax on soda, like New York, right? So they do these punitive measures. People are
Mhm.
going to pay for what they want, right? If they
People
want a
pay
soda, they're going to buy a
$10 for
soda.
a pack of cigarettes. They don't care. They're
Yeah,
gonna pay for their addiction, and that's fine. Like, as I said, I believe in true health freedom. You wanna
yeah,
choose that path, you can. You wanna choose this path, you can. But, the what had happened was this discriminatory, um, mindset against anything outside the allopathic and repression
yeah,
therapy.
yeah,
And there's
yeah.
comments in your chat of like, why do these companies know? It's money. It's cheaper for them to add these things
Yeah.
and not have to do other things to make the product taste good or make the product prettier or to preserve
Yeah,
it. I mean, it's like
yeah,
BHT, right? That's an explosive. It's a
yeah,
preservative. They could use vitamin E, but vitamin E is more
mhm,
expensive and it doesn't last as long. So
yeah,
they're looking for longevity. And in the food industry, there's no margins in it. So it's really expensive.
mhm,
So this goes way up to our NIH, to our FDA, to our EPA, and what they have allowed to come into our country when
mm,
other countries said, held to the no,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Our agencies were like, how much money are you going to pay me so we can pass this bill? That's
yeah,
what happened. And
yeah,
so these companies, they get handed down like all this stuff is approved. So these companies are like, great, this is cheaper. Do you really think the manufacturer of Fruit Loops is sitting there going through the studies and saying, oh my gosh, this is so bad for people. We shouldn't do this. No, they're not. They get
mhm,
handed down from agencies that are supposed to be the regulatory body over saying something is safe or not safe. They are
Mhm.
a huge manufacturing company and they're making cereals and they're not going to go back and vet the raw ingredients. They're just going to go with the safety studies, which could be fraudulent. So we have
Mhm.
to point up higher and say, all right, you know what? You can do better, cereal company, because now you've been called out. Everyone's eyes are on you. Make a choice, do better, or people are going to walk away from you. That's on them now. But it started above that. It started with people
Mhm.
getting paid to allow poison into our food and our makeup. Ladies, I mean, if you would see the regulations on countries outside of the United States on what's allowed in women's foundation and mascara and there's no regulation on ours. They can put anything they want in your makeup. There's
Mm.
zero regulations on it. So we're worried about all of this stuff, right? We're worried about food, but then we're slathering on foundations that have hormone blockers and disruptors in it and all kinds of carcinogens. And then you go
Mhm.
out in the sun and it hits you with your makeup. And I mean, we have skin cancer and oxidative stress. I mean, I keep saying it, but this is huge.
Yeah.
It's so big.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, they need our prayers. The people who are making these decisions really need prayers. One thing I wanted to say, so, Callie and Casey Means, right,
Mhm.
authored the book Good Energy. You're talking about the money side of it, and I think that, if you guys haven't heard the interview that Tucker did with Casey and Callie Means, I highly recommend it. I had to listen to it in small portions because I kept wanting to break things. And, so really, I was like, "Okay, gotta stop. Deep breathing, breathe, breathe, breathe. Don't break the TV, don't break the phone." Okay, so, because it's so maddening to understand, what you're talking about. You know these things, a lot of people don't. But, Callie Means, Casey Means his brother, they got the names mixed up. If I could talk to the parents, I would have told them the girl should be Callie, the boy should be Casey.
Right,
But
right.
it's just the opposite, and they're close in age. The mom must have been like, "Casey, Callie, Callie, Casey, Casey, Callie, both of you come
Both of
here.
you, just get over here.
Get over here." But right, um, so anyway, sorry, I digress. But what Callie Means talked about is that he was a lobbyist for big food, and he explains in that interview that big tobacco, once when they kinda got shut down with all the lawsuits and everything and the litigation, they actually just transferred all of their energy to big food.
Mhm,
And the idea was that, we can no longer, push our addictive cigarettes, so now we're going to create another addictive product, which is food. And they intentionally, um, make the food, bioengineer the food to be addictive, and that's a problem, and he explains it really well, and then they hire lobbyists like him to pay off the legislators and the regulatory agencies, to look the other way so that they can put these foods on the shelves and keep the people coming back. I mean, all you have to do is look at Starbucks to understand how addictive these substances are. I mean, it's crazy to me how much money and the level of loyalty that people have with Starbucks. I mean, I think it's disgusting. But if there's an addictive property to it, it makes sense, right?
mhm. Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
They do that. I
So
mean, we've known they've done that for a long time.
yeah, yeah,
And like we started out in the beginning, we don't want farmers out of business. We don't want businesses out of business, restaurants out of business.
right.
We want agencies that are letting these things come down and be deemed safe through fudge studies and paid off legislators to know the truth. And
Yeah.
if we can do better as a society, we'll be healthier.
Mhm, mhm.
Again, I go back to the comments in your
Yeah,
chat. Do we use birth control? I don't, but thanks for asking about my personal medical. Thanks for that. Like I would ever ask anybody that. I wouldn't. But the comment was, these things go into the water streams. Exactly. So why do we use things in the human body that we know are polluting the earth, right? Why don't we
yeah,
we do better? Why don't we teach girls in school how to time their menstrual cycles? Why don't we talk about abstinence? Why don't we talk about preserving yourself for marriage? Oh no, we can't talk about that. We got to talk about sex changes. Like, can we just quit with the psychosis of everything and how we feel about everything and get back to facts? That's what we
Yeah.
need to do. And the
Yeah.
facts are our agencies that were meant to protect us are poisoning everybody, period. They didn't do their job and they need taken out and they need cleaned up. And the person that's going to do it is going to be RFK. He's going to
Yeah.
go in there
Yeah.
and he's going to fix it. And that's what we need. Will it be tomorrow? Absolutely not. It'll probably be a
Mhm.
decade from now.
Mhm.
But that's what we
Yeah.
need to do. This is not like me against people that have cows that use hormones. This is about the fact that probably the studies that they passed down to those farmers were a lie. That's
Yeah.
probably the
Yeah.
truth.
Yeah. And okay, I want to talk about let's go back to RFK
Absolutely.
because he can't do it alone. And
Nope.
that brings the question, which is that I think the administration is doing something brilliant, which is that they are looking to bring we the people in to
Mhm.
more significant roles. And you've actually been nominated for a role with this administration. Can you tell us about that? Because it's kind of exciting.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about who nominated me because that's more important than me being nominated.
Okay.
So the person that nominated me is actually a friend slash client of mine. And I'm not going to say her name because I didn't have permission, but her first name is Rochelle. And her husband died during the pandemic from medical malpractice, pretty much. Without any choice at all, she was forced to take her husband out of the hospital to actually get some alternative treatment. They overdosed him on remdesivir, and basically he went into kidney and cardiac failure and he passed away.
Mhm.
Super tragic, super, super tragic.
Mm.
And through that whole thing, at the time, I was going to the Capitol in Pennsylvania. I was standing with Senator Mastriano on health freedom and her father, who's a pastor, and we were speaking and doing all the things. And so she nominated me. And I think because, number one, prior to the pandemic, this is how I lived. This what has been my platform of education for decades of eat real food, make sure you watch what you put in your body, on your skin, in your mind, take your supplements. Like I've been in this forever. And so I think having that experience and being a clinician were probably the two things that she looked and said, hey, this is somebody that we need in there. Now, will I make it on the committee? I don't know. There are some incredible people that have been nominated that are amazing. I think what I bring to the table is the parent voice because I am a
Okay.
mom. I've had to fight at that grassroots level against school boards,
Mhm.
against
Mhm.
jab mandates, even childhood jab mandates, fighting for our rights to preserve those. Health freedom, I've always been alternative.
Mhm.
I don't
Mhm.
have insurance, like all the things.
Yep.
So I'm extremely honored to be nominated, whether or not I make it. If people want to
Mhm.
vote for me, I appreciate it. But there's other people on there too that would be incredible committee members, and you
Mhm.
can vote for a lot of them. I don't even know exactly how many people will be on the committee, but he has put out on Discord all of the agencies which he is now taking nominations for the lay people to come up and be recognized. Like
Yeah.
your friend who is the chef, go nominate him in the agency that's over food. You can do that. You can nominate people that have impacted your life. So that's for all of us. And we can provide that link for people if they want
Mhm. Yeah,
to.
I'm just finding it right now, and I'm gonna put this link in here. So you can nominate people that you know for
Mhm.
these committee and there's
All
different
different.
committees. Yes, in fact, I think, somebody was talking to me about nominating me. I just don't know which committee I would get
Right,
nominated for.
exactly. Like, where would you I mean, your voice, your following, your research, your experience, like, everything that has got you to this point is valuable, right? And all of us are valuable. But here's what I will say. I love the idea that I was nominated. If I don't make it, I'm still gonna be doing what I'm doing. I'm still gonna be the voice out there that's gonna be promoting natural health and helping parents be empowered and helping families be healthier. I don't
Mhm.
I'm
Mhm.
honored. I don't need a committee to do that. I've been doing it for years, but if I do have the opportunity, I will certainly take that fire, you know,
Mhm.
to that committee. And also Sherry Tenpenny's been nominated, Judy
Mhm.
Fitz, trying to think, Peter
Mhm.
McCullough is on that list. Zach Bush is on that list. He was
Yep,
one of the
yep.
first to bring us the idea and relevance of glyphosate. I'd love to
Oh,
see
okay.
F on that list. There's just so many great people that have been
Yeah.
nominated. So,
Yeah. And that's just for the health
hmm
segment.
hmm
If you go to the website, I'm trying to pull it up, it's not pulling up here, but,
Doc
the
Nan, I
web
put it in there.
yep, so that's your link. I'm trying to put up the general link. It's called discourse.nomineesforthepeople.com. Let me just finish writing it in here. Um, hopefully that link will work. Somebody let me know. But but the main thing is that if you go to that website, I think there's another name for it. I think it's mahanow.com.
Yeah, .org or
Um,
something like that. It's .org. But you have to,
mahanow.org. Yeah.
yeah, you have to register for an account to vote. You can go in and look at everybody and look at everything, but if you want to vote or nominate somebody, you have to register an account, and that just gives you a profile on that page, and then you can see more insights on everything. So,
Okay. Yeah. So if you go to mahanow.org, then you can. Well, that's just for donating. Okay, you can get a Make America Healthy Again hat, but the nominees for the people part is on there too. Okay, so the main point is that that Dr. Tracy's been nominated, and so you can vote for her. It's actually on her Truth Social. The link is on the Truth Social, and I'm tagged in it, so you'll see. I reposted it too, so it
thank
is
you.
on Truth Social. Yeah, for sure.
I
Okay, she just
texted
sent
you the
me
link
yeah.
to the whole
Yeah, I
thing.
have the link, but for some reason I can't get it. I just couldn't get it to open on my phone.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know why. Let me try it again. Um, yeah, it's just okay, whatever. But somebody did put it in the Facebook chat, so it is in the Facebook chat. But the important thing is that it's bringing we the people into the next phase of transformation of this country, of reclaiming the country. And I think when you talk about a populist movement,
Hmm.
this is what is happening here, is that the people are being brought in and the career bureaucrats and politicians are getting kicked to the curb. And
Hmm.
I've already seen, I actually posted that we're already seeing rumblings of FDA, CDC, NIH employees threatening to quit if RFK Jr. is actually confirmed as the head of HHS. And I don't know anybody who thinks that's a bad thing. I mean, it's like, great, good, don't have to fire you. You can
Only the
self-deport.
people profiting off of disease, sickness are complaining. And so, those people, I mean, you can already
Yeah,
see the rumbling, and they're going to try to do a smear campaign on them.
yeah,
So
yeah.
my hope is that, and I know it'll be totally fine, is that Trump just ignores all that stuff, which apparently he is because he just appointed him to the HHS. So I
Yeah.
love it. People are scrambling right now.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just like, like with the whole immigration thing. I don't want to get too deep into that, but my understanding of the way Trump works is that, when he makes a move, there's going to be a lot of preemptive problem solving
Hmm.
from people who may actually not want to be around when the other shoe drops.
Right.
Um, so people are kind of self exiting, and that's ideal because it actually saves a lot of money and a
Yes.
lot of time, and it saves a lot of aggravation. Um, and so awesome, great. If you feel the need to just move on and go into the private sector and
Yeah.
stop sucking off of the taxpayers' money and profiting from disease, have at it.
Go.
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 You have our blessing. Off
Yeah.
you go. Off you go.
What was
Um,
that show that Trump did before a long time ago where he got to say you're fired? Like, I think we
the
should bring that back
Apprentice.
for like a live stream. The
That would
Maha.
be so great. Yeah, that would be great. Yeah, you're fired. You're fired.
You're
Um,
fired.
Yes, so I just think it'd be great, but, I sense a collective, um, sense of encouragement. Optimism from people who really care about this, and one of the things that I love is that he brought so many independents, and, like, the crunchy crowd is now on board with Trump, the crunchy moms, and, that's just my word for them, but,
That is good.
the ones that care about, like, what goes in their toddler's mouth. The moms that breastfed till age 4, those moms, like, they're actually, this has brought them on board, and I think it's good. It's so important, because our country needs to come back together,
Yep.
and I think that this was a brilliant move to do that. Don't you? I mean,
Do. I
just
think that just moving and making America great again had one meaning, but when you say make America healthy again, that affects
yeah.
every person on the earth. Every person. Like every mom, dad, grandpa, aunt, uncle, nephew, niece, everybody kind of stood up and was like, yes, yes, I want that. And I want that for my kids and I want that
Yeah.
for my family. Like
Yep.
you can't deny it, you know? I mean, what's so bad about making America healthy? Nothing point nothing unless you profit off disease.
Yeah,
Then it's
exactly, exactly, exactly. And so speaking of healthy, now you kind of made reference to the fact that sort of our generation, we are where we are, but at the same time, the body does regenerate. Our
mhm,
bodies can heal themselves if given the right ingredients and the right the basics. And
that's
that's
right.
where you come in because you help so many people um, to do that, to reclaim their health. And I want to talk a little bit about that. I want to talk about your process and how if somebody works with you, what the process looks like and kind of what the expectation could be if they decided to work with you as a provider. Because
Yeah,
people are
absolutely.
ditching their regular doctors and they're looking for answers, and you're one of those answers.
Yeah, I think, before all of this kind of transpired, people were looking towards the alternative in the last 4 or 5 years, but
Yeah.
now it's been almost, like, validated, right? It's like, "Oh, this
Mhm.
is real." Like, when RFK put out that post about psychotropics and peptides and supplements, and he was like, "We're gonna bring it all back and get the FDA's dirty little fingers out of it." Because on the supplements alone, the FDA has listed supplements that they want to pull off the market, like vitamin C's on that list, N-acetylcysteines on that list. What a shame for us to lose common nutrients, right?
Mhm.
So if somebody wants to, start their health journey, regardless of where it is, whether it's just, hey, I just want to check up and I want you to look at some blood work for me and make sure that I'm okay, or I
Mhm.
have a chronic issue and I need help navigating it and, helping the body regenerate itself, we can do all of that.
Mhm.
So, in my practice, I have a practitioner. Actually, she's Doc Nana, and I have specialists that people can see. But generally, you come in, you make an appointment, or we do have health packages where you pay a monthly fee, and that gets you a
Mhm.
set
Oh, okay.
visits. Plus, they can come into my community where they have access to about 30 practitioners that can answer questions for them. They also are in a group of like minded people. So if they have that health membership, they also get discounts on products that they need from supplements to peptides. So all of that plays in. It's no different than going to a PCP. We do blood work draws, we do
Mhm.
testing, we
Mhm.
look at that testing, we make recommendations based on what we see, but it's drugless. We're not giving you pharmacology to repress it because
Mhm.
there's no pill on the market that cures you. None. There's only pills to repress your symptoms, which create other problems that you need pills for. And so
Mhm.
just hear the words when people say, I have thyroid issues and I can't ever get off a medication. That's not true. Do I
Mhm.
advise you to stop your medication right now? Absolutely not. But if you do the right things and you build the foundation, your body can regenerate. And
Mhm.
that just comes from the right nutrition,
Mhm.
eliminating toxicity, getting your spiritual, mental, and emotional health in line. And that whole person approach is where
Mhm.
the industry is going to go over the next decade. So make an appointment. We usually run some blood work. We give
Mhm.
you, a recommendation on how to live, how to eat, what supplements to take. We adjust your sleep. We can look at your hormones. Like all of that's included. It's no different.
Mhm.
We just don't use repression of symptoms so that you think you're better when deep down you're still as sick as you were. You just don't feel it anymore.
Right,
So,
right. Okay. And this is so exciting because, like I said, we've had people asking before, but we haven't actually had an official link, but now we do. So here we go. This is
yeah.
it right here. It's kind of a long link, so I'm not going to tell you the URL, but you can scan that QR code and go directly to sign up for a free discovery call. Right? This is a free discovery call.
Yep.
You can ask questions, kind of lay out your situation, and then figure out if you want to go forward. Is it a good fit? Is this the practice that's where I want to land?
Mhm.
That's what this is for. And Dr. Tracy is offering this as a free discovery call for my listeners, which is awesome. We've been talking about this for some time, and then life kind of got in the way. And so now we're getting this up and running, which I'm very excited about. I will add this to my website. I haven't done it yet, but if you're on my email list and you got today's email, you would have gotten this link as well to sign up for a free discovery call with Dr. Tracy. And I also have the link in the show notes on Rumble. I will share it as many places as I can. If for some reason you can't get it to work or you're just not that tech, just email me info@marygracemedia.com and I will send you the link. But we'll do our best to get it out in as many ways as we can. Now, if for some reason they it's not happening for them, tell us your website and then they can come to your website and reach out and say, "Hey, I want the discovery call. I heard about it on Mary Grace show."
Absolutely. You can go to Tracey Stroup, ND, as a naturopathic
Mhm.
doctor.com. Super easy. Hit the contact page, and then you can actually send an email to my assistant who will email you back and get you scheduled for the discovery call. Just make sure you tell her that you're from Mary Grace and you want the free discovery call so that we can do that. Important that we have that. So it's TraceyStroupND.com. Tracy.
Yep. Okay. So I put that in the chat as well. So, so yeah, it's very exciting. I see people scanning the QR code, so that's awesome. Very, very happy about that. And we also we're just we're going to keep having Dr. Tracy back. We will be doing some live Q&As like we do with our other provider, Dr. Troy Sproul. The best thing about this is that you guys know that I'm so passionate about this. I'm so passionate about helping people get healthy and getting the information that they need. And it brings me great joy to give you choices, to give you an alternative to some, like some of you guys I know have reached out to Dr. Sproul, and for one reason or another, it just wasn't the best fit for you. And that's okay. Because it's just like, some people want to buy such and such, some people like this brand, some people like this brand. And so that's why I like giving you choices, especially when it comes to your healthcare. And Dr. Tracy, you're located in Pennsylvania.
Mhm.
So you work with people online, but how about in person? What's the situation for that?
Yeah. So we do telehealth across all 50 states and
Okay.
beyond. I have clients in Canada and Europe, and that's
Okay.
always tough when they're international and you got to match time
Yeah.
zones. I have enough problems with PST. So, but in person, I do. If you're
Okay.
in my area, I can see you in person. I have an
Okay.
office in my house. Doc Nana, who's actually Dr. Sherry Ann McCoy, who's in the chat. She's one of my practitioners, and she also does the telehealth visits with me. And like I said, I have other practitioners that are available too. So either way, virtual is fine. I think people are comfortable online now, but if you
Yeah.
like person to person, I would say maybe if you're within 2 hours from me, it's doable. Um,
Mhm.
but we can accomplish just as much virtually as we could in a face-to-face appointment. I don't
Okay.
need you to come in order to help you with your health.
Good. Okay, that's awesome. So, Like I said, the link is right here on the screen, or you can go to Tracey Stroup, ND, like naturopath doctor, and then you just hit the contact form and make sure you mention the Mary Grace show. That's really important so that they can, make the connection.
We're not giving the
And
discovery call to anybody else except your
yeah,
people. They gotta say your name.
okay, perfect. And one of the things I said, my audience they're so well educated, and I think you're going to find that when you talk to my listeners that they really do their homework, and I've learned a lot from them. They send me things, they make comments that really have been eye opening. I mean, I've had people send me things that I didn't, tell me stuff that I didn't know about before. So it's nice. It's really we have one of the I think I have one of the best audiences in all of social media. I'm just gonna say that right now.
Your audience
Most
is amazing for sure. I
Yeah,
will say that.
yeah,
I
yeah,
love
and
educated clients. The days of not asking questions to your practitioner are over, people. I want to have a conversation with you. What do you know and what do you need to know? That's our conversation. You
yeah,
know, I don't want the, oh, don't question what I've recommended. Of course you
yeah,
should question what I recommended. It's your
it's great.
body.
Great, great. And also let's talk to the moms and grandmas out there because you are one of the biggest advocates for children that we have in this country. And so if somebody is wanting to reach out to you on behalf of their child or grandchild, are you working with them as well?
Absolutely. I have lots of kids in our practice, and that's why Doc Nana's called Doc Nana because she is a grandma. She works with kids as well. And,
Okay.
it's really important that it's a family change. So when we do work with the kids, everybody gets healthier because everyone's
Mm,
going to do what the child is doing. Everyone's going to take the supplements. Everyone's going to do the new foods, the healthier foods,
okay.
making the changes. So absolutely, I love to work with kids.
Good, good. And especially kids who may have been injured in some way,
Mhm.
right?
Oh,
Okay.
absolutely. Yes. Mhm.
Okay. Yeah. Good, good, good. So I know the chances of somebody listening who knows somebody in that category are very, very high.
Yes.
And so grandparents, aunts, uncles, this is a resource for you. So please take advantage of the discovery call. Reach out to Dr. Tracy and her team so that they can help get you on a good track toward having a much superior quality of life for the child in your life that is maybe experiencing some of these issues. Dr. Tracy, I think we're going to wrap it up here, and we will have you back very soon for. I want to do a Q&A. We're not going to do Q&A today, but we will come back for that. So, any last words to our listeners today as we go into the new era of making America healthy again?
Absolutely. What I will say is your voice mattered. It made the difference and it still matters. So go to that website and vote, either if it's for me or somebody you feel would represent you amazing on that committee. Put Mary Grace somewhere, guys. Find the committee where you think she's going to do and nominate her because we need more voices there. And second, don't try to make all the changes in one day. Disease
Yeah.
happens over time, so does health. It doesn't all just magically appear. So you have time to get healthier, so does your family. Start educating yourself, start taking the classes, start reading the books, follow the people, and do one thing at a time that improves your health, not only physically, but mentally and spiritually. Read your Bible, right? Have positive, joyful attitude, and eat real food. Tree, ground, run, swim, fly.
Perfect.
The end.
Excellent. Excellent. And speaking of food, I do want to let my listeners know that we do have an incredible source for real American beef.
Mm,
That is our friends at griddownchowdown.com. Now, all of their beef is freeze dried. And so that's great because you can use it now or you can save it for an apocalypse. I mean, it's up to you, but it comes in a package like this. This is a whole pound of ground beef. This is grass fed, grass finished, and it doesn't have any of the juice in it. The cows are fed without any of those added ingredients. And here's a quick little video for you guys, and then we'll come back and wrap it up. And stick around for just a second. We got 30 seconds for you to look at the cutest farmer in the world right here in America.
This is my brother.
And I'm Nace, and we're at the Grid Down Chowdown. And this is Larry, who is a local rancher that we've partnered with.
Now, Larry, you've been ranching for over 4 generations, is that correct?
That's correct. I'm 3rd generation, my son's 4th generation, and I've got some grandkids that are 5th generation.
Man, that's awesome.
We've been here for quite a while, yeah.
All right, now, Larry, your cattle is grass-fed, grass-finished, and pasture-raised, just like God intended them to be.
Yes, because I want to know what's in that animal,
Right.
what it's been fed, and so the only way to do that is for us to keep it all natural, just like God has done it for years and years and years, thousands of years.
How has partnering up with us helped you and your ranch?
Well, it's allowed us to develop a market that we didn't have before, one that can get directly to the consumer, and that's great.
And just remember, more importantly, with every package that you buy, we put a salvation track in there. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you for allowing us to do what we believe that God has us here to do. And just remember, God loves you.
He really does.
Amen.
Go to griddownchowdown.com and use promo code MaryGrace. I love that guy. So listen, guys, when you buy from Grid Down Chowdown, you're using promo code Mary Grace, you are helping save an American farm. They are right in Oklahoma. And I know there's big concerns about farmland being bought up. Every package of our freeze-dried beef you purchase is helping keep these farms from being bought up. They have to stay in profit to keep from having to sell their farms, and this is a way to do it. And it's a great product. It's a Christian company. A lot of you, that's important to you. It's an American company, and you can also do a subscription model with them. You can just get a little bit every month and then just rotate it, use it for regular cooking, or like I said, save it for prepping. It's up to you. It's real ground beef. When you rehydrate it, it turns into just like what you would open a package of raw ground beef. It's not jerky. It's dehydrated raw beef. You can make tacos, hamburgers, spaghetti, whatever you want with it. It's amazing. So as we sign off here, I've got Dr. Tracey Stroup with me. One more time, I want to remind people that you can get a discovery call with her and her team, Tracey Stroup ND, or you can scan the QR code. And this is just, we're in a new era of making America healthy again. And I want to thank everybody for being here today. It's been tremendous. And we will be back. I've got shows coming up again, starting Sunday and going into next week. We've got some incredible shows coming. Please bookmark my channel. Make sure you're on my mailing list, marygracemedia.com. Get on the mailing list so that you never miss a show. We will send out emails when we do these live interviews. Have a great day, everybody, and have a wonderful weekend. Get outside, touch